I just took a DNA test. Turns out, I'm 100% that bitch.
I look at the world from awakening eyes in a beaten face, and this is what I see. This fenced-off narrow space assigned to me. I look then at the silly walls through dark eyes in a dark face, and this is what I know, that all these walls oppression built will have to go. I look at my own body with eyes no longer blind, and I see that my own hands can make the world that's in my mind. Then let us hurry, comrades, the road to find. Wow!
You're watching BTR's Action News Network. This is the way you tune it out with JER.
Trying to figure out and see what you perceive, rationalizing human idiosyncrasies. The notion that a national devotion is a freedom, not fully alive. Insidious doctrines and rights to commodify human life. But you don't want to hear it. We can tell by the way you tune it out. 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 Ocean boiling, the climate is recoiling. I'm plenty time for the profit of the oilman. Don't wanna hear it, wanna live in your delusions. Don't wanna see it, wanna find your own conclusion. Go ahead and flip the script. We know you don't wanna depict reality of what's going down. We can tell by the way you tune it out. The way you tune it out. The way you tune it out. The way you tune it out.
I'm terrified at the moral apathy, the death of the heart, which is happening in my country. These people have deluded themselves for so long that they really don't think I'm human. I base this on their conduct, not on what they say. And this means that they have become, in themselves, moral monsters.
Epstein Island is their birthright. I want y'all to think about that. I want you to think about it. Because the thing about a Pluto return, the thing about witnessing a country, an empire, in its death throes, is watching as its worst horrors come to light. And these aren't new horrors, right? When they say, let's make America great again, they're talking about how they used to eat people that look like me, how they used to take our hair. And I'm not doing any trigger warnings. Deal with it. They used to put our hair into chairs, right? The most horrible things you could think of that are happening, that happened on Epstein Island, that's the story of this country. And guess what? It was a story for longer than it hasn't been. One of the most effective things they've done to our minds is made us think that this was so far in the past and that it's all over and done with. But the civil rights movement is living memory, right? And that was only a few legislations. And that's against a backdrop of hundreds and hundreds of years of the most grotesque horrors that Epstein Island couldn't even envision. And the thing is now, it's the imperial boomerang, but you could call it the white supremacist boomerang. You could call it, the evil boomerang, essentially, right? It's the stuff that white America allowed to happen to black and brown people coming back. And now you see these pictures of these, little white children that it's happened to, that were trafficked. And I don't say that to be callous. And because that's another thing, is that when people point out that this is stuff that we've been talking about, that has long been happening, people are like, well, this is not the time to say I told you so. Yeah, actually, it kind of is, right? Because we're allowed to be pissed that we have been dealing with this for our entire existence. And y'all are just tuning in, right? We're allowed to be upset about that. And part of that healing is people who are just tuning in, taking the L and being like, you know what? I was dead wrong for not knowing, for not acting, for not doing more. That's part of the healing. Part of the healing is having humility and being able to say, fuck, I should have known and I didn't. And I'm sorry and I'm here. Right? Healing doesn't come by papering things over. Right? It's like Malcolm X, Malik Shabazz said, you can't, take a knife out of my back a few inches if you stuck it in 4 inches and call that healing, right? You have to take it out and acknowledge the blow that has been made and then do the whole process of healing, right? There's a whole process. And we're undergoing that process right now. And it's a rough one. It really is. And acknowledging the horrors that have been wrought on people is a big part of it. And acknowledging that, for those of you who, have the complexion for the protection or used to have the complexion for the protection, your inheritance is all of this. This is your inheritance, right? For the country that we have that has been taking everything from the global south, you have to inherit not only the spoils, but the sins. And you have to atone for them and fight against them, right? And here's the thing, we all do. Because black and brown people are not totally, exonerated because we've had to suffer more, because there is always global positionality and intersectionality of experience. And if you're an American, you're part of the machine, right? Like Baldwin said in JER's amazing video, I'm horrified at the moral apathy. And once people are able to not see other people as humans, that spreads. That's why I always mention that, left out of Martin Niemöller's poem, First They Came For, there's no mention of queer people. And attacking trans people and trans identity, right? And destroying the Institute, that was a predecessor to everything else that happened. And we didn't even make the poem. So, even though we are currently failing an open note test, but we don't have to fail. And I believe strongly that because of the internet, because of our connection to each other, because of our access to history, because of how much faster the people do and can move, we have a shot this time. It's not a guarantee, right? Because their power is great and their evil is great. And we're still catching up to that whole thing where it's like, okay, well, you have to be really nice to people regardless of who they are and what they do. Good people are still thinking that applies, that those rules apply. When somebody walks up to you and starts stabbing, it's not a time to say, excuse me, friend, I don't think you meant to stab me. That's doing damage to me. That's injuring me. Yeah, could you, no. It's the time to block the arm, take the knife, break the arm off, and put the knife in him. Metaphorically, of course. Metaphorically. Because, of course, I wouldn't condone violence on a public platform. That would be silly. And we don't do silly things here. But we do very, very good things here, like we're going to be doing with you all night on the first of our Black History Month shows. And we're going to be featuring lots of black artists, of course, like not that we don't always, but and a reminder that Black history is not just the story of the horrors that happened to us, but of constant triumph, of constant innovation. And even within the story of Black history is the sub-story of the Black weirdo and how we really have been the innovators of everything, whether you're talking about Black queer people, Black trans people, Black alt people, everybody. Sister Rosetta Tharpe, who was the inventor of rock and roll, was probably a queer person and was definitely a woman taking over in a time, when everything was really male dominated. Not that it still isn't. Let's keep it a stack, right? The ways that we, even groups like Parliament, Jimi Hendrix, people who have not only broken from the regular standard America, but also broken from standard notions of blackness and decided to do something different. Because that's where the innovation comes. It's from saying, I like everything that's here, but I can still do better. I can still do different. I can still innovate further. Because adhering to any standard, it's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to innovate. We are the only ones of us that there are. We are the only we there is. And it's our duty, right, to ourselves to bloom into what we are supposed to be. There is no mold that we should be following. None of us. But it is very important to recognize the contributions, the struggles, indeed, of Black folks in this country, because our story is your story. Because our story really is the story of America. In my song, Outside, Toys You've Not Adored, one of the themes is, from outside, we can see what the people inside can't see. We get a wider angle view. And watching America, from within America still, but still outside of it, right? Kept outside because of an accidental birth of the place that we were born. We get to observe it and see it for what it really is. And as this Pluto return unfolds, y'all are beginning to see it too. And that's where the healing can begin. And that's where we can win. That's where we can bring new joy. That's where we can bring an end to the long nightmare of what has been the American experiment. And that's what I sincerely hope and wish for us all, that we are doing things to bring that about. We're going to talk about more later on in the show. I want to thank JER at Scottoon Network. Please follow them. I didn't do this on purpose, but accidentally, all of our music acts, including myself, are non-binary Black people. So, you know, JER is, and I'm just an amazing guitarist. Love the video. Not guitars, but plays all the instruments. Plays every instrument. Actually, I think maybe guitar is the one. Anyway, multi-instrumentalist, and conceived that video and wrote the songs, and just is a tremendous, and is playing all over the country. And reminding folks that, yeah, you know what? Non-binary also comes in Black. Non-binary also comes in bodies that aren't like, you know, thin, waifish, 90-pound AFABs. You know, it is something that comes in all varieties. So let's go straight into our regular segment, which you all know, and I know you all love, the Astrological Weather Report with Alice Pope of Alice Pope Astrology. MYSTRYXX, let's do it.
Well, Logan, unlike last week, no era-defining astrological events are happening this week, and things are going to be a little bit less busy astrologically than the past month or so. But we've still got some juicy transits to talk about here, full of opportunities and challenges for us to sink our fangs into. First, though, now that we've stepped through the portal of Imbolc and that Leo full moon yesterday, I want to take the opportunity to inform y'all about some huge astrological happenings coming up later this month, because it's going to be wild. Now, don't get scared, don't overthink it, but I just want you all to be aware and prepared, because what kind of astrologer would I be otherwise, right? So you may want to know that the next lunation, which is the new moon in Aquarius on February 17th, which is also Lunar New Year, is a solar eclipse, folks. So we're building up now towards eclipse season, which, as you may know, tends to be a tumultuous and transformative time. Since eclipses always come in pairs, that one is going to be followed 2 weeks later by a lunar eclipse, aka the full moon in Pisces on March 3rd. And eclipse season is going to last all the way until the following new moon in Pisces on March 18th. So especially when it comes to rituals, ceremonies, magic, and manifestation, you may want to cool your jets a bit, because here at the Focused on Infinity Hour, we do not recommend doing such activities during eclipse times. Thank you very much. Another huge upcoming transit is Saturn moving into Aries on February 13th, following after Neptune, which, as you may remember, made this transition last week. And the real headliner event here is the long anticipated conjunction between Saturn and Neptune on February 20th. I am so fascinated by this dance that's been happening between Saturn, the planet of reality, and Neptune, the planet of dreams, because Saturn adds a really concrete wake-up call to that Neptunian vision and can help us to actually make it real in our three-dimensional world. So we'll talk more about that in a couple weeks. Finally, I must let you know that our buddy Mercury will enter a retrograde on February 25th, which is going to last all the way until March 20th. So my point is, get your ducks in a row as soon as possible, folks. If you're putting off a bunch of important stuff that you think you're going to deal with between mid-February and mid-March or so, this is not well starred and will probably bite you in the ass. So take heed. Remember, though, that these transits happen often and they're not something to freak out about, but we can be prepared and just make our difficult lives a little bit easier in the process by being aware of them. All right, let's turn to this week's forecast. Chiron and Uranus are key players this week, being activated by Mercury and Venus in twinning transits. And the way I see this week is that Chiron is reminding us of our sensitive spots and offering us some opportunities for healing. Then Uranus is going to come through and stress test that healing with Mercury and Venus, seeing if those bandages will hold. So this week could be a little disruptive at times. And our various relationships will be put through the ringer in some ways, but this week also offers a lot of potential for healing and connection, and it underscores the revolutionary themes of this here Aquarius season. Okay, today, Monday, February 2nd, we kicked off the week with speedy Mercury at 23 degrees of Aquarius, forming a sextile to slowboat Chiron at 23 degrees of Aries. Mercury is the mental planet, and here it's stimulating the wounded healer. So we may be feeling a bit more sensitive around our core wounding today and really this whole week. But with this soft sextile aspect, Mercury gives a nice opportunity for healing the ways in which we perceive, think, and communicate. This is a great day for those tender conversations or journaling sessions. Maybe you're healing wounds around your relationship to intelligence and education, or maybe you're more focused on compassionate connection in your platonic relationships. Either way, if you're not very aware of your core wounds, if you tend to tune them out or run from them, this transit might just force you to look at them, which is bound to be a bit uncomfortable. But if you've been doing the introspection, reflection, self-awareness, and personal growth around these wounds, this transit can bring a divine spark or message that propels you along that healing path. So listen to yourself, be curious about your wounds, and see what wisdom comes to you under this transit. With the compassion of Chiron, this is also a reminder to speak out on behalf of those who are most oppressed, wounded, and traumatized by the overculture. Mercury, use your voice. Probably right around when you're seeing this, actually, this evening, the moon is moving into service-oriented analytical Virgo. And that's all for Monday. So let's take a look at tomorrow, Tuesday the 3rd. There's one piece of news here, which is that Uranus is stationing direct at 27 degrees and 27 minutes of Taurus. Pretty cool. This means that it's ending its 5-month retrograde and slowly starting to move forward to the sign of Gemini, which it'll enter on April 25th and then be there for the next 6.5 years, which is a big deal. As you may have heard me say before, though, the retrogrades of these slow outer planets aren't big deals. They aren't really something to focus on compared to the quick personal planets like Mercury. But what's significant about Tuesday evening here is that Uranus is calling attention to itself in this moment. It's stopping in its tracks, it's turning around and moving in the other direction in the sky. So that means that we're getting a big hit of Uranian energy here. That could be disruptive and shocking, or magical and transformative, depending on the circumstances and what we choose to do with them. Remember, though, that Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, and this planet is always calling us toward liberation, toward greater authenticity and truth, toward radical progress for humanity. So Tuesday could be a good day for some revolutionary action. I don't know. Moving on here. Wednesday, February 4th, has Venus now moving to 23 degrees of Aquarius and repeating that sextile to Chiron and Aries that we saw Mercury make a couple days before. With this transit, we'll now feel sensitive around everything relational. This could be a good day to work on healing your interpersonal relationships, especially intimate or romantic ones. But you might also be healing your relationship to money, abundance, and resources. Maybe you're healing your relationship to creativity or being creative as a method of healing, or both. Why not both? Maybe you're focused on caring for and healing your relationship to your physical body. Maybe you're reflecting on your values and your sense of self-worth. Maybe you're taking compassionate action to bring more justice and equality into the world. All great Venus, Chiron type of possibilities. Then on Thursday the 5th, early that morning, the moon will move into balanced, beautiful Libra. And then as Mercury moves to 27.5 degrees of Aquarius, it'll now form a square to Uranus, creeping along at the same degrees of Taurus there. the square is an aspect of friction, so Uranus will be mentally challenging us here on Thursday, and this may come in the form of shocking news, sudden realizations, unexpected flashes of insight, messages or omens from the universe. But this transit can transform how you perceive, think, and communicate. Uranus can really help us to break up or change those stubborn mental patterns, especially in these fixed signs of Taurus and Aquarius. Now, if your nervous system is easily activated like mine kind of is, Thursday is the type of day where you want to have a game plan for how to regulate when needed. But as Uranus confronts us with this discomfort, this dysregulation even, a bigger truth is trying to break through into our awareness, so I hope we're paying attention. Then on Friday, February 6th, Mercury is going to move along from Aquarius into Pisces. Now, Mercury moves faster than Venus does because it's closer to the sun. So it's peeling away from Venus here. Venus is trailing after and kind of echoing these Mercury transits as we go along. But now with Mercury in Pisces, our minds will be more oriented towards emotion and intuition. Our thinking and communication can become more empathetic and more creative. We might be having more dreams, perceiving beyond ordinary reality, getting downloads and visions and messages, experiencing more spiritual connection. Mercury in Pisces, though, is not really a time of logical thinking or organized communication. Things are going to feel messy and chaotic, especially with Mercury lingering and retrograding in this sign in coming weeks. So my fellow Virgos and I are going to need to chill out and try to go with the flow here. I must ask, though, do just try come Friday to be reasonably concise in your communication, because as much as I love y'all, Pisces Mercury folks can really go on at length. So please just try to keep that in mind for all our sakes, okay? Thank you. Then on Saturday, February 7th, the moon moves into sultry, spooky, secretive Scorpio. That's all for that day. And then finally, on Sunday the 8th, Venus will arrive at 27.5 degrees of Aquarius and repeat that square to Uranus in Taurus. This time, the shocks might show up in your relationships, in your bank account, in your artistic projects. You might be really confronted around your values, challenging their authenticity and your willingness to act on them and embody them and live them. We might receive sudden news related to anything from the economy to questions of justice to the rights of women, queer, and trans folks. Expect the unexpected is always the motto with whole Uranus. We can't predict exactly what's going to happen, but remember, even though these transits are coming in a challenging form, the goal of these shakeups is always liberation, truth, and authenticity in these relational areas that Venus represents. Uranus wants to deprogram and decondition. So thank you, Uranus, for shaking us awake so that we can make the most of this last half of revolutionary Aquarius season. All right, that's it for this week's astrological weather report. I'm Alice Pope. Logan, back to you. Well, Logan,
Blackbird sing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you're only waiting for this moment to arise.
Well, hello, darlings. So, for today's Tales from the Grendelverse, we're going to do something completely different. And hopefully y'all help me out here a little bit. And it goes, well, you know what? I think it's going to be fun regardless. What we're going to do is ask me anything. You can ask me anything. Put it right in the chat. And we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll answer. You can ask me anything. Now, look, you know me, right? Despite the fact that I am standing here in front of you, on the great, wide, wild internet, I'm a pretty private person. But if you ask me something interesting enough, and it leads to a good story, maybe I'll tell you. Maybe I'll just tell you. Maybe I'll just tell everyone, right? But you're going to have to, what is my least favorite color? My least favorite color. I mean, I don't have a least favorite color, really, because they're all good at the right time, you know? Like, I'm not a big fan of pink, but, you know, you put it in a trans flag, we're good to go. So, you know, it's not my vibe, though. And also, like that really kind of, like, dun green that's like it's like somewhere in between mud and, like, pea soup. I don't like that color. It gives me the ick. It gives me the big ick. Favorite horror novel? Well, I mean, listen, you know I am a spooky girl, so I love a lot of them. I used to read so much Stephen King and Dean Koontz, way younger than I should have been. My favorite horror novel maybe is Watchers by Dean Koontz, in which there's like, it's a bunch of scientific experimentation. There's a hyper-intelligent dog that actually, in hindsight, was not quite so hyper intelligent because dogs totally can use those like little buttons and communicate. And in this story, well, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you should check it out. It's very good. And there's also some hideous, horrible things. There's monsters. There's, and really, of course, as always, the monster is modern science and white folks. No, let's be honest. Let's be honest. What contributed to my sense of fashion in and out of drag? Honestly, so many things. Really, the biggest thing is like I'm at heart, like goth girl, right? So, but then I also like discovered things from like drag, from watching Drag Race and of course Dragula. But like in general, it's just from my head. Like I just go like, what looks good? And so I've now kind of taken and hybridized like, you know, little dark elements, but with also like cunty elements. So it's like goth, but also I could go on Drag Race, even though I never fucking would, because Rue's problematic, because, you know, whatever. Also, I'm an underground girl. Everything's got to be underground, right? I don't want to be anywhere, and I don't advocate like supporting really anywhere where it's connected to systems of power, right? Where like if people got to be quiet because they're on Paramount, sorry, babe, not watching you. Not gonna happen. But my sense of fashion is mostly just my own innovation. Oh my goodness. I also could not picture me in pastel goth. It would, except I do have one kind of like it's like an aqua blue, and there's some like pink in it, like kind of a pastel goth shirt. One of them that I actually really like and looks great on me, but only one. My favorite flower or plant. This is not gonna surprise anyone who's ever seen my garden. Kale. I love it. I think it's pretty. I've taken a lot of macro images of just like the bumps and ridges in dinosaur kale, and it's just a really attractive plant, and it grows. It's like extremely nutritious. It's extremely frost hardy. It's good for all the reasons. I mean, there's even, you know, ornamental kale is a thing. And also that same plant is Brassica oleracea. That same plant is like 5 or 6 different of the main vegetables that are, it's an amazing plant. It really is. Really, really is. That is, what musician or band have I most recently discovered and are loving? I mean, some of the ones that like really into our guests from last time, Jackie Venson, amazing. Really like JER. I'm a big, actually, a ska fan from back in the day when I was in college. We used to like do nothing but play Rancid and like Op Ivy covers with my roommate, and just like skank around the room after drinking the cheapest vodka that was available because that's all we could afford. But I mean, Falling in Reverse, really enjoying recently. But really, one of the things that's most on rotation is Father John Misty's most recent album, Mahashmashana. He is, I mean, I just can't get enough of his way with words, and got a great voice. And of course, eternal fave, Coheed and Cambria. They're always at the top of my lists. Always, always, always. Let's do a couple more. Questions. What else do we got? Okay. What song makes me feel like I am floating on air? These are good questions. A lot of music related ones, which is good. This is a very music heavy episode, so you're doing the thing. Last time I seen the sun from the Sinners soundtrack, it is both. It kind of does both, and it's also really sexy at the same time. You know what I'm talking about if you know this song. It's like it's soaring, but it's also got like some weight to it, and then like a little bit of like sultriness and the way that the voices meld together. It's hot. It's a hot song. So, and it does both of these things very well. Anything surprising in my bug out bag? Wouldn't you like to know? That's the only way I'm going to answer that one. Okay, last one. Best album to fuck to. Look. Not for nothing. The album that we're going to get to very shortly. This is an excellent segue into the next segment. Yeah, let's do that. MYSTRYXX, take us into the next segment. So, for this week's Lara Listens, we're going to continue by answering the question that was asked. And of course, the real answer to that question is like, you should have a mix, because if you're doing it right, one album ain't going to cut it. But if you want one album, accept no substitutes. I Want You by Marvin Gaye. I mean, you simply can't go wrong. It is so fucking good. It's hot. The song "I Want You," just the way that he sings, his voice is so sensual. It is one of those things where, like, you know, it's a joke. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's a joke that you put on Marvin Gaye if you want to fuck, like, ha ha ha. But it's like, it's not a joke because the shit is really hot. This album, "I Want You," the first song, it just starts off strong, and then it switches gears into "Come Live With Me, Angel," where it's like sweeter and like a little slower, and then "After the Dance" is an instrumental. It's like, "I want you and you want me, so why don't we get together after the dance?" And then goes into a song with the very, very, very subtle title of "Feel All My Love Inside." Interesting. On the other side, it's the intro jam for "I Want You," all the way around. Since I Had You is good. "Soon I'll Be Loving You Again," and then the vocal version of "After the Dance." Also, this image on the front, which you may have seen before, the Sugar Shack, baby. I mean, this image is Black history in and of itself. You know, it's just like you can feel the vibes in this party. Holy shit. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you a Marvin Gaye twofer, because going the other way with Marvin Gaye is "What's Going On." This is one that has some of the more known and iconic songs, because, you know, besides being sexy, like most artists, like especially Black artists, did not shy away from talking about like what was happening, what was real in the world. "What's Going On" is like, you know, you can feel the mournfulness in his voice about just the tumult of the world. And also another song on this one that you probably have heard is "Mercy Mercy Me," otherwise known as the ecology is like in parentheses, but "Mercy Mercy Me" is like the part that you probably recognize. "Whoa, mercy, mercy me." That, so good. So fucking good. "Inner City Blues," aka "Make Me Wanna Holla, Throw Up Both My Hands." Just amazing. And now for the little tidbit that you may not have known. Marvin Gaye, here's the back of the album. And also the inside, we've got our lyrics here. And here we've got some art, imagery. Unfortunately, Marvin Gaye, his death was extremely tragic. He was shot by his own father with a gun that he had bought for his father, while defending his mother, basically. However, that's not the whole story, because also Marvin Gaye really didn't like the road. He didn't like traveling, and it was really damaging to his mental health. And so, you know, he had quit drinking, but then he was sniffing, which like everybody was doing at the time. But like by the end of his life, he was actively, people close to him believed that he was suicidal. And in fact, this is backed up by the fact that his father had said, "If one of my children ever lays their hands on me, I'll kill them." That was just something his father said. His father was, you know, like a very conflicted person, obviously, but an example of what happens when you don't let people be who they are. Because apparently his father was, you know, a cross-dresser, they would have called him, and then like maybe gay. And also Marvin Gaye, there were rumors of Marvin Gaye being bisexual or homosexual or something. And so that relationship had just so much fraughtness to it. And also didn't just like the power struggle of a hyper patriarchal dude who was having his own issues with like his identity and sexuality, then being air quotes emasculated by his child making more money and being able to provide better for the family, just all fucked up. And yeah, he the day before his 45th birthday, his father shot him with a .38 special. Really tragic story, but Marvin Gaye is someone who y'all should get into it, babes. Get into it. He deserves everything that's said about him, because he's just that good. Listen to it with some good headphones and just like Going around on the internet, there's a video of like an isolation of just his vocals from Heard It Through the Grapevine, and it's just pure, and with that yearn to it that you could tell was like, you know, partially just power and natural talent, and partially pain, which is something that colors the world of every artist, because that is one of the things you do, is you transmute pain into art. And so he did that. So now we got Marvin Gaye is our first artist. We're going to give you a second artist, and that is Purity Ring. Purity Ring. This album is called Shrines. Crawlers Out, Fine Shrine, Obadiah, lots of amazing songs on this. And one of my favorite songs that's in the the romantic but very creepy category. One of the lyrics is, get a little closer, let flow, cut open my sternum and pull my little ribs around you. It's a little closer than I'd like to be personally, but you know, I know the feeling, right? You just can't get close enough to a person. So, you know, also, not for nothing, Purity Ring is a group that you should support, because they still tell people to wear masks at their fucking shows, because the pandemic never ended. Y'all know this. I know this. The reason that everybody's always coughing and sick and tired and has brain fog, it's because C-19 is, guess what? It's not a respiratory illness. It's a vascular disease with far-reaching implications that we still do not know yet. It's still only 6 years old. I have many articles of clothing older than that. I want no parts of it, and you shouldn't either. Here is the inside. Just cute and creepy little art. We love it. Yes, Shrines by Purity Ring is our second album of the day. Now, we're going to go into plenty more. So just continue to hang out, and don't forget to like the stream, share the stream, tell your friends about the show, and you know, watch it with them if you can. And at the end of the show, we're going to talk about how you can plug in with us more and like join some of our watch parties and all that kind of thing. But for now, MYSTRYXX, let's go to the next thing.
Something you like your girlfriend to do to your face.
I want to say sit on it.
Yes! Sit on it! Everybody feels better now.
I'm passing my phone to somebody who smokes all my weed every day. I'm passing my phone. Wait, what the fuck? Is this just me again?
Strip the earth of all its life, no conscience. Eternal state of death and conquering. Endless, mindless consumption running rampant. Rotting from manifest destiny. But nature is like a measure, severing us further and further from humanity, community, trust and knowing each other. Why should I batter now when the wealthiest maximize profit from leeching? No preservation, free nothing but devastation. Creeds of ours respecting no existence. Bomb the children, send them to the mines. Corpses built of violence is relentless. Record profits, expense of mankind. But nature is like a nurture, severing us further and further from humanity, community, trust and knowing each other. Why should I batter now when the wealthiest maximize profit from leeching? No preservation, free nothing but
For the
devastation.
flora, the oceans, for the fauna, the mountain tops, the workers shipping boxes of the produce on your countertop. Every child is under threat and every animal's on the brink. So is the end of capitalism as radical as you think? Fossil fuel industry barons, insurance company heads, private prison profiteers, sleeping sound in their beds. Got nothing on the people, organized in the street, educated, agitated, ready to take the planet back from their greed. Greed, insatiable and bottomless. I'm thinking in dispassionate. But we can take the planet back from they. We can take the future back from they.
Justifying carpet bombing children. Empathy for no one but the villains. Forced eviction on a helpless mother. No compassion for one and another. Justifying carpet bombing children. Empathy for no one but the villains. Forced eviction on a helpless mother. No compassion for one and another. Justifying carpet bombing children. Empathy for no one but the villain. Forced eviction on a helpless mother. No compassion for one and another.
O Eastern Light, awaken those who have slept. The darkness will be broken, the promise kept. It is our suffering that brings us together. It's not love. Love does not obey the mind and turns to hate when forced. The bond that binds us is beyond choice. We are comrades. We are comrades in what we share. In pain, which each of us must suffer alone. In hunger, in poverty, in hope. We know our unity. We know it because we have had to learn it. We know that there is no help for us but from one another, that no hand will save us if we do not reach out our own. And that hand that you reach out is empty, as is mine. You have nothing. You possess nothing. You own nothing. You are free. All you have is what you are and what you give. We have nothing but our freedom. We have nothing to give you but your own freedom. We have no law but the single principle of mutual aid between individuals. We have no government but the single principle of free association. We have no states, no nations, no presidents, no premiers, no chiefs, no generals, no bosses, no bankers, no landlords, no wages, no charity, no police, no soldiers, no war. Nor do we have much of anything else. We are sharers, not owners. We are not prosperous. None of us is rich. None of us is powerful. If it's the moon you want, if it's the future you seek, then I tell you that you must come to it with empty hands. You must come to it alone and naked as the child comes into the world, into their future, without any past, without any property, wholly dependent on other people for their lives. You cannot take what you have not given, and you must give yourself. You cannot buy the revolution. You cannot make the revolution. You can only be the revolution. It is in your spirit, or it is nowhere. Wow!
And that, my dears and darlings, brings us to the end of this episode of the Focused on Infinity Hour. More or less. I would like to thank you all for being here. I would like to thank our excellent musical guests, JER, at Skatoon Network. Please follow them everywhere they appear. And of course, regular contributor to the show, Square Symbols, at Square Symbols all over the internet. Please do follow them as well. I want to also thank, of course, our regular contributors, Worm, WURRM. You can find them all over the internet as well. And, of course, Alice Pope of Alice Pope Astrology. Before I go, I want to remind y'all that you should be building. And one of the most important ways to build is by having groups, joining groups, different communities, and you should join a range of different ones, right? You should be in our Discord community if you're not already. You can apply to join because you shouldn't just listen. A lot of these groups just put out their links and you're going to get feds, you're going to get feds. And don't get me wrong. It is some groups you just have to put it out there and hope for the best and then get people out who need to get out. But for my money, the way that I run all of my groups is we do vetting first. We do multiple layers of vetting because I would rather measure twice, cut once, and have a couple people not get in rather than, be shot through with feds because they're going to try and get in anyway. One day I'll tell you the story about the most obvious fed of all time that somehow lied their way into the server, but then we got rid of once we got a whiff of it. Anyway, to join the Focused on the House of Infinity Discord server, send an email to House of Infinity, HAUS of Infinity, at protonmail.com, because we don't use Google in this house, do we? Why would you use Google when they were just going to turn all your stuff over to the feds? Seriously, people who are organizing on Google, babes, what are you doing? I know it's easy. That's how they get you, right? Look, if you want to use Google for your subscription to, your monthly subscription to your toilet paper or whatever, sure, do that, nobody cares. But to anything that's actually sensitive, don't do it there. Don't do it on Zoom either. Do not have your meetings on Zoom. Zoom is also the feds, right? Jitsi Meet is right there. Use Jitsi. Use anything else. But join groups, several of them. Use Signal. use Signal as often as you can, right? Because remember, if they want you individually, they'll get you individually, because that's how it works. But we can't all let them get us in advance, right? And some ways of communicating are safer. They're much, much safer than just putting it on WhatsApp. Again, WhatsApp, the feds. Don't use WhatsApp, right? If we want change, we have to change. And that means how we interact with each other. Also, I've been on Upscrolled for months now. I joined, in fact, quite some time ago at this point. But now Upscrolled is getting lots of traction now that TikTok has become, again, the feds. And also, I'm going to be leaving TikTok, even though it pains me to do so, because that is where I have the most connection and where like a lot of us met each other. It has become Israeli spyware, and that's the last thing that we need right now. We're gonna have a heavy politics episode sometime soon, but we need to have just a little celebration of Black music and Black joy, and collect some of my favorite musical Black non-binaries. I see non-binaries on tonight's show. And thank you, of course, as always, to my partner in crime and excellent co-collaborator and producer, MYSTRYXX. For tonight, that's going to be it. But thank you again for being here. Don't forget to share, like the stream, and support me and all of the other artists who were here if you can. And sharing costs you nothing, so you can always do that. But if you can do it with dollars, that's great too. Stay up out there. It's hard and it's getting harder, but also we're getting our fight. We're learning our fight. Whether that is, literally or metaphorically, we are learning that we're gonna have to fight. And the more of us internalize the fact that we're gonna have to fight to get out of this, the more hope we have. And the sooner we will throw off these shackles. Much love to you all, and good night. MYSTRYXX, take us out.